But yeah, so essentially we all got down to business, and then she kind of went, fuck's sake, this is going to take a while, and just furiously went to town, and nobody finished happy. It was like getting a fucking Chinese burn. At some point during the night, I woke up and threw all fucking over their bed, and I feel really bad about it because it was fucking everyone, man. It was ridiculous. Like, holy shit. Did I tell them how to clean it? No, I just woke up and there's someone cleaning my sick, and I'm like, what the fuck? No, but honestly, another side effect of me drinking is because when I'm by myself and when I'm in like normal day-to-day conversation, I'm not exactly the most talkative fucker, and I usually don't have much to say. But fucking pour some booze down me, and motherfucker, the night after, I will chat your fucking ear off. And I woke up at 6 a.m. I felt so bad as to how that whole thing with Amy ended for such a long while, but she ended up ruining someone else's like 10-year relationship by having an affair with said person, and now they just get stoned all day, aren't doing anything, so I don't feel bad anymore. Yeah, like at the time I felt bad because they'd helped me through a lot, but alternatively, maybe they weren't such a good person in the first place. One night stand person. Well, not to be fair, they did get into a relationship. They did get into a relationship with them afterwards, but like, you know, I still kind of, obviously, you know, if it happens, it happens, but you still broke up like someone's decade-long relationship. And I'm pretty sure that other person ended up getting fired, and it's like, that's pretty fucked. AquaDreams, teach me how to be GigaChat. Well, see, you just kind of have to accidentally get yourself into these situations and handle them all terribly. Good advice, good advice. I've just remembered one of the most basically, during sixth form, I was an absolute fucking knobhead. I was an absolute prick in sixth form. I feel like everybody were. You know, unless you truly realize what you wanted to do or like who you are. Mate, I was a cunt. There was this girl who... One more thing. Alright, Sid, you go first. Spunky. Oh, not that one. I'll do that one after the fucking... I'll do that one after my next one. Yeah, so during sixth form, I was a dickhead. There was a span of about 3 months of like, we would all go out for like a big meal. And at each like meal, I was sat next to a different person who I was like possibly like going to get with. There was this girl called Amy, who, in retrospect, a different Amy actually. There was way too many Amys in my fucking sixth form. There was about 7 of them. Jake, that was one of the first people Jake like kind of met and got into a relationship at college. I remember telling me a story about how all they would do is they would order Domino's and dry hump on the living room floor, which sounds it just sounds depressing as fuck. It just sounds really depressing. Oh, I just unsealed that fucking gem. Jesus Christ, I forgot about that. But yeah, and she was the girl who had the toe thumbs. Well, she had like a condition where her like fingers would... No, not just they were large. Like she had a condition where like her hands had like toes rather than thumbs. It was fucking nuts. Like, you know, toes and thumbs. I'll be honest, never saw the feet. I'm this bird and you were at a park. I mean, you went to a place like 10 p.m. She had an old lady as a downstairs neighbor. So you feel bad because you went up to 11. Oh, no. Yeah, but this was just like, she was just born having toe thumbs. Like, or just toe fingers as well. That legit real thing. I don't know how else she had it, I'll be honest. She had all 10 fingers and 10 toes. So were her toes fingers. I'll be honest, never really went, what do your feet look like then? Hey you, show us your bloody toes. I think we were like potentially talking about getting together. But I think I'd gotten the ick somehow. Like I just had enough. So I started telling a mate called Stan. Well, he was called Sam, but we called him Stan. Hey, what am I getting judged about now? This was before I realized I didn't actually want relationships. And at some point I'd given up. I'm like, fuck this. I can't be bothered to chat to this person anymore. They started telling me a bunch of like shit, just a bunch of like really candid sex shit. And I told her mate Stan, who, motherfucker, you couldn't tell him a secret for shit, because that would be spread around within about 5 minutes. Oh, mate, he continually got involved in everybody's shit and just spread it. He was he was funny, but he was a fucking knob for doing that. But yeah, and I told them that, which started spreading that she was like this like kinky sex machine. And you know, and by the end it turned into some fairly unsavory rumors about her, which I did not start. But I was also not taking responsibility for being the one to. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. All right. I just said she said a bunch of weird shit that made me uncomfortable. Everybody took it in a different direction. It wasn't me. I'd forgotten that this whole thing had happened. And she pulled me aside like, "Hey, can we go for a walk?" And I went, "Yeah, go on then." And then she starts telling like this story about how someone's been spreading shit and how, you know, it's been like really hurtful stuff. Now, because I was a shit-eating little fucking sixth former, instead of going, "Yes, I'm sorry," sixth former me went, "Oh, God, who would do that?" Just like, "Oh, wow. Oh, no, who would do that? God, I bet they were a fucking prick. Jesus." And then they pulled out the, "Mate, I know it was you." And I'm like, "Oh." "Oh, really? Wow." And at that point, she was fucking furious because she's like, "Just fucking admit it, you little bastard." And I'm like, "Oh, wow. God, that's rough." Just fucking lied to her face going, "God, who would do that? Well, only a bastard would do that. Couldn't be me, of course. Never me. Aqua, I'm that girl. Oh no." if I did somehow message her now, I would probably go, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that, by the way. Like, that was fucked up." Nah, seriously, they actually seem like a very cool person, but you know, I was just fucking done with college at that point. Like, and this was barely into first year. My box was gone. Oh God, yeah, there was also a time that I decided to. Oh God. No, I don't even want to tell it. That story still makes me feel bad. Has anybody else ever done anything to make somebody else jealous? Because there was one time where I invited someone over, despite the fact that I didn't want to shag or really do anything, but I invited them over to try and make someone else jealous. But I like to imagine they got their revenge because they decided that they were very bitey. And like my fucking neck was like just fucking raw after that one. And like my lip was bit to fuck. Like, Jesus Christ. Biting. Listen, alright, a bit of biting's fine. But like, it genuinely looked like I'd been scalded on my neck. It was like a fucking... Yeah, like, damn, did you fight a vampire? It was... What was his name? That was a girl called Sophie. Where I decided to employ a different tactic as to how I was gonna like tell somebody that they were interested. I just went, how about I just make them know that I'm interested in them? And unsurprisingly, that worked. Unsurprisingly, people are quite happy when you actually go, "I like you." You got to bite pretty hard, motherfucker. I was bit to fuck. To be fair, I also will say, just to make myself feel better, this girl was also nuts. She was happily, well, I say nuts, just a bit trashy, in that she'd happily told a story of how she gave her boyfriend head under a blanket in front of her mum, and I'm just like, oh, what the fuck? Nah, man. Nah, come on. Can't be doing that. If you want to, fair enough. Trashy is fine by me, but like, I'm not feeling that vibe. I'll be honest. Obviously, not to shame them. They were a decent person, but you know, they just were not somebody I would have got along with had I not have been like fucking dumb and hurting.